Okay, what's up everybody? It's your boy and I'm bringing you today something I've always wanted to make ever since I started this YouTube channel. You know, the long awaited Unholy Ultimate Unholy PvP guide, and this one is for the patch 9.1. So who am I? Well, I'm an Unholy DK enthusiast. I love WoW PvP, and I want to promote Unholy DK PvP in hopes that maybe more people will play, or more people who already want to play could improve. You know, I just want to promote the class in general. So I've been playing Unholy for this long for this expansion, so I got a modicum of knowledge.
You said come.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm hoping this helps a lot, and we're gonna get right into it. Oh, and last thing I want to say is thanks a lot to everyone who subscribed. We reached 400 subscribers, and that is really huge for me. So yeah, I appreciate you a ton, and I hope we keep on growing, right? The grind continues. Okay, let's get into it. So what's the current situation of Unholy DKs in the meta? Well, Unholy has seen significant changes and is way better than it was back in 9.0 Season 1. They felt pretty sluggish because of the globals, and on top of that, we don't have some kind of a heal absorption then. I mean, we did, but you had to choose between an overpowered, you know, Scarred Strike. It was buffed by the level 52 baseline buff, I guess. And you had to choose between that or a Necrotic Strike that absorbs like 6% of the HP, which is kind of whack. It's kind of whack, yeah. It really doesn't matter which one you choose. You're just putting yourself in a disadvantage, kind of, if you're picking the Necrotic Strike thingy. But overall, you're just, you know, you're just so reliant on pet damage. And it still is kind of the case here, but right now we've got a heal absorption, and that is a Mortal Strike that's cooked into our Scar Strikes, our pimple popping ability. And we finally have a Blanket Silence, which is really solid. And you know, with Season 2 here, and with all the gear available to be bought by now, Unholy is scaling pretty well. We have more stats, more haste, more mastery, everything that you could ask for. So it's safe to say Unholy is in a pretty good place right now, and I can't complain. I mean, I can, but it's playable, really, it's viable. Like, if you want to go full hard-on meta, like play super greasy and sweaty, you can always pick up Frost. They're always gonna be more meta, but you know, if you want to play Unholy, it's the best time right now. So yeah, let's get into the guide. I am going to start off with the baseline talents with the level 15 row, and that is, I just want to put that I just want to put out that all of them are viable first of all, and it solely depends on how you want to play. I just love the passive Festering Wound generation from Infected Claws. I play Convocation of the Dead, so this conduit, so it's actually complementary on each other, and it's pretty much it. It's just you know, you may need those 2 extra Festering Wounds to pop for your 6 stacks of Necrotic Wounds, but sometimes you just can't generate it on your own. No, not enough runes, and then your pet can just you know, apply wounds to them right when you need it. And it's pretty good versus Resto Druids, you know, when you want to let your pet sit them, and you want to you just want to do some instant heart swaps for, say, a Resto Druid is hotting his teammates full, but there's no hots on himself, so your pet is on him this whole time, so he has like 4 stacks of Festering Wounds with no hots on him. So you insta grip, you stun, and then you can do your burst on him. You know, it's just way faster for a heart swap, and I love it. So All Will Surf is basically just a flat increase in DPS. I guess it's effective versus mages and maybe warlocks, any range classes in general. You would think Clawing Shadow is, but we'll get into that. So it's good because Triune Ward and their normal wards are insane, and it lasts forever. Owl Surf will help you in that situation because of the flat DPS increase from your range pet, that the skeleton archer, and that pet scales with your mastery, which is going up as the season moves on. So yeah, that's the situation where you'll most likely see a play, or just versus even melee. I think it's doable, not that big of a deal. So Glowing Shadows, my oh my, I used to love this at the start of the expansion, with you know, my mastery being broken then, and everything, all our stats went inside mastery. For now, I think it's just good versus some range classes where you barely get uptime on them. For example, Hunter, but I won't recommend you Tunnel Hunter in any game usually. But when you do, like you dish out 2 Festering Strikes and then boom, Apocalypse. You got 4 Necrotic Wounds, and you just need those 2 to pop those 2 diseases more for that 6 stacks, right? And Glowing Shadows could be your go. Or versus, like, let's say Warrior, hopefully he's not Condemned. It's gonna be really good too for those. So ultimately it just depends upon you what you wanna play. I just love Infected Claws the best. So here, alright, I think that's done with the row, and we're gonna get to the next row, and that is Bursting Swords, Bone Fever, or Unholy Blight. So here, it depends again to what kind of playstyle do you like. Do you like a kind of a setup oriented, or just a surprise burst oriented gameplay? You know, Bursting Wounds can give you a shit ton. It deals 25 more damage and deals some shadow damage inside the AoE, but it can fall short if you are playing with classes like Hunters. I don't know what you're doing though if you're playing with Hunters as an Unholy, but so if you're playing with Hunters and all their CCs, I think this AoE shadow damage pop can ruin the CCs. But other than that, there's no such shortage of it. No, it doesn't put you in that much of a disadvantage. Just more damage. I just love it because of, you know, my Apocalypse goes. It just does so much damage. Like, yeah, insta damage. And that is something that we lack, so Bursting Wounds covers up really well. And I personally don't like Bone Fever. I think this is the red one. The red one is something that you don't pick, you know. Maybe you can make it work with the Lingering Plague, but I don't like it, so I don't recommend it. Because what? Even without talents and soul binds, a Frost Decay is gonna dot more than you anyway, because for some reason that's how Blizzard works. But whatever. So I'm gonna move on to Unholy Blight. Unholy Blight, well, you need it stacks up to 4 times, so every time it stacks, it deals 3% increased damage for your pets. I mean, the targets receive 3% increase damage from your pets, which is pretty good actually, especially if you can line up with it. So this one is more oriented for your dark transformation bursts. Like say your dark transform, the best time you can use this is, I know dark transformation is coming back soon. You like, there's 5 seconds of it left and you can start from it here, and 3, 2, 1, and then you get 4 stacks with your dark transformation, and now your pet, which already deals insane amount of damage, is gonna dish out even crazier damage. That is 12% increase, which is actually so huge. So yeah, these two are the ones that you would want to pick. I personally love Bursting Swords for, you know, the burst. Okay, Unholy Blight CD, I can't change that. And this one is for heart swaps, I guess. Heart swaps or setup oriented. So yeah, it's up to you really. It's both viable. So in the next tier, it's a no contest. This is where the meme kicks in, you know, the illusion of choice, the meaningful choice time. Well, your only meaningful choice would be asphyxiate because it's a no-brainer. You need a stun. So yeah, there's that. Okay. Anyway, so I'm just gonna move on to the next tier, and it is the resource generation tier mostly, except for the third one, which is kind of odd. It was a resource generation less expansion. So pestilent pustules, I actually played this a lot in the previous season, which is it's because yeah, I think it's even if it's 10%, it's guaranteed. That's why I love it. Like, you are guaranteed to get a proc from your first apocalypse, like usually. Okay, I could be wrong, but there it is. So it's almost like a guaranteed when you proc that much, and you just get those runes back quicker just to dish out 2 of that festering wounds out more. And it scales perfectly with my convocation too. I should actually be playing this, like my playstyle. With my playstyle and all, you would think it suits me better, right? Yeah, possibly. But I love Harbinger of Doom. Why? Because I am playing a lot of haste too, and I usually run Doom Burst here. So I love how Doom Burst works. This is actually, I didn't love it. I really didn't love it at the start of the expansion. I mean the patch, when it first got introduced. I thought it was clunky. I thought it ruins my ghosts, my festering wound stacks. You know, you have to time your stacks because the stacks just fall off without being refreshed. So I thought it was clunky at first, but then I realized it's actually really good with the further tests and with the almighty pet kick, you know, the multi-rank 1 DK. I talked to him, he told me it's pretty good. So I try to have my own opinion, and yeah, he ain't wrong. I love it. I love how it works now. Just sometimes, you know, you're fighting say a resto druid, you got 4 stacks on him. You can't afford to, you're trying to burst him down, right? You grip him, you asphyxiate, you empower your pet into an apocalypse. You got 2 festering wounds left, right? And he's running, and you can't spam chains because he's just gonna spam his, you know, forms, different kind of forms, and get out of chains easily. So without having to awkwardly press chains in order to slow the druid down, your Harbinger Doom of Doom procs can actually dish out damage and then slow him as well, which is really good because you're still gonna do your damage. It's still inside your rotation. It's just enhancing what you're already doing. So that's why I love Harbinger of Doom. So yeah, I'm playing this mostly for me. And you know, it's extremely fun when they got like say they got like 4 stacks and then Harbinger of Doom procs with the 2 charges. So you dish out 2 dead coils, and then yeah, it just pops, you know. It feels so satisfying. Yeah, that's basically my points for Harbinger of Doom. So we move on to Soul Reaper. Soul Reaper has seen lots of changes, honestly, and I liked it last expansion because it generated 2 runes. Now it actually consumes 1 rune now, and it's working like how it did back in Mist of Pandaria with those big execute abilities. But now the execute is just too whack, even with shadow damage scaling up, with our mastery scaling up. Maybe it'll be way more viable next patch, I mean next season, when season 3 rolls out and we got full gear here and we got a shit ton of mastery. That's how maybe it will work, but right now I'm just not a fan of it. It's just too many globals and too many runes that's already used, so I can't afford to waste another runes for something that let's be honest, doesn't hit like shit. Like you may get some lucky crits here and there, but like we don't bank so much on lucks, do we now? Yeah, I thought so. So not a fan of Soul Reaper, but you can definitely make it work. That's how it is. So level 40. Spell Eater, Wraith Walk, Death Pack. Personally, I'm a fan of Spell Eater versus the majority of the classes versus Condemn Warriors versus you know, any caster, even sometimes any rogue, and RM and shit. Yeah, this is what I usually always run because it increases the magnitude and the duration, which is really good. Yeah, it's kind of a defensive oriented, and it's pretty much it. So it's my favorite. Wraith Walk. I usually play this versus druids or shamans. Say druids have, you know, their roots, even shamans have their roots. Sometimes you just need to break through those roots to get those kills, right? It can be frustrating. It happens to me a lot. There are situations where I was rooted and then couldn't kill him, and they were like at 5 or 10% HP, and I just need 2 globals and reach them to kill them, right? Yeah, this is where Wraith Walk comes in. So versus hunters, I would recommend this one versus hunters, versus rest of shamans, and versus druid most of the time. So Death Pack. I think, yeah, Death Pack may be the one you'll usually play the most versus melee DPS oriented classes. More so on the physical side, like warrior, like rogues, I guess. Are rogues still physical? I don't know. By the way, that's usually how you would run it versus hunters too. It's really good versus jungle as well. You know, you just need to live for those remainder of a freezing trap. Like 3 seconds is left for the freezing trap, and you need to live, right? And so this is where Death Pack, that's the situation where Death Pack comes in. It's gonna heal you for 30% of your max HP, which is already huge because you're a DK, so you have a shit ton of max HP. The only drawback is it gives you a shit ton of heal absorption for 15 seconds, but if you can live that, or if your healer can top you after that, it's really no biggie. So yeah, all of them can be played situationally. Just pick smartly who you're gonna face. Depending on who you're gonna face, just pick smartly, and yeah, you'll be fine. So we're gonna move to the next tier, and there is no challenge here. If you're playing Unholy DK, you're gonna play Unholy Pack, which is the Hell Chains. It just increases your strength by 5% and empowers your pet, and this is also your burst ability. This is also your main burst ability, I might say, especially if you're playing Frenzied Monstrosity with me, like me. Yeah, I just freaking love it, dude. There's no other choice here, no contest. Okay, that's about this row. Now we're gonna move to the final row, and that is Army of the Damned, Summon Gargoyle, and Unholy Assault. So Army of the Damned, I play this versus PvE classes. Who do I mean by PvE classes? You know, there are just some games where you just need to PvE it, and it's boring. You know, like Arms Warrior Healer, Arms HPAL, and yeah, all of those. Usually versus Arms HPAL or Rogue Disc Priest, I would play Army of the Damned because I just love the passive slow and my passive damage every, I don't know what. It's just fast recovery for my Dark Transformation and Apocalypse. And if I'm facing Disc Priest Rogue, I would usually play Raise A-Bomb, so it lines up pretty well. Either the Rogue is gonna run out of their CD soon, or the Priest is gonna run out of his mana soon. Basically like a mana game, so insane pressure is always insane pressure. So Army of the Dam, I usually don't play it, especially it's the fast meta. So yeah, just play it on games where it's not gonna be fast, like, you know, the ones I just mentioned, Warrior X, anything. But don't do it if it's a Warrior Resto Druid though, because you're never gonna get 4 Festering Wounds off on anyone. I mean, you'll get it on the Warrior, but like you would want to hit the Druid every time you get a chance. So Summon Gargoyle, oh man. Oh boy, do I miss you. I miss you, I'm not gonna lie. Yep, words can express. Just a Bling 182 song may express how much I miss this buddy, but it's not seeing any plays here right now, my friends, unfortunately. Because it has a 3-minute CD, it requires you to dish out so many death coils. And on top of that, it lasts only 30 seconds, so it's really not that worth it. It's unfortunate because at the start of the season, it was advertised like it was gonna be baseline, but everyone was complaining about how there was too many GCDs already, which is true. So they removed it and put into a talent which is basically useless. So I'm sorry, Mr. Gargoyle. Maybe next expansion. So moving on to Unholy Assault, this is my favorite because it has seen it's way better than its BFA counterpart, where you had to, you know, it doesn't deal 4 Festering Wounds. It doesn't apply for 4 wounds. It just you know, gives you a haste buff, and that's pretty much it. Here it's an instant kind of big dam actually. 4k is not that bad, and then they got 4 wounds immediately plus a 20 haste buff for you, so which is actually really huge. Unholy DKs do love haste, so this is my favorite. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. You know, it's just so easy. There you go, 4 stacks already there into globals. I love it, so I recommend you play this one the most as well. And yeah, that's pretty much for the baseline talents. Hope I was articulate enough. If you got questions, please feel free to ask. And oh yeah, I'm gonna put this now because most of you are gonna leave at the end of the video, so please do subscribe to my channel. It helps a lot. I'm trying hard to grow this year, and so on and so forth. So help a brother out. Press the subscribe button. Yeah, it's free. Moving on to PvP talents now. So when it comes to PvP talents, we got Unholy DKs. I guess DKs in general have really strong PvP talents, and you have a shit ton of choices actually. So there is no definitive answer or PvP talent set that you'll be running with. Let's say, one second. What the fuck? Okay, so usually you'll always have necrotic wounds on here. Like you always had necrotic strike in BFA. It's just so good. You know, it's a 25%, it's a 30% absorption at full stacks, and its duration has been increased to 15 seconds as well, which is really great. And it heals you for 30% of your max HP if you absorb that much of a healing enough, so it's actually a really good source of passive heal income. So you'll always, no, in general, like these 3 maybe is what you'll always have, but It's flexible, like I said. There's no definitive one. It's just how I love to play. So Doomburst, I think I have explained it well and clear. I just love how it works, and yeah, I just love how it's baked into my mechanics. You know, this is a fun spell to press. Like sudden Doom procs, boom, you slow them by a shit ton and give them 2 stacks already. Yeah, that's already a win. So, Dark Simulacrum. Well, this one is kind of tricky. I think it doesn't fit well into the meta, even though it's really strong. Like, unless you are a top tier player or something, I don't think it's gonna work that much because games are so fast. You can't calculate, you can't time perfectly when you want the Dark Sim, you know. But it definitely can work if you practice enough. So this is one of the talents where you'll barely play, but it's actually good, unfortunately. So Life and Dead, you won't play this at all in PvP situations. Your dot just does some amount of damage when your dots are dispelled. Kind of like you know, a budget unstable affliction. Even though, yeah, UA is so strong. Reanimation, I don't know, dude. This can work really well versus warriors in 2s, especially if they're Kyrian. You can just keep kiting and then press this button, keep kiting, summon your pets, keep doing this until he wants to kill himself. Actually, yeah, that's how it goes. You barely won't play it, honestly, though. Necrotic Aura, well, Necrotic Aura is still strong, but it has seen less and less of a play here. Considering how strong the other talents are, you would usually run Necrotic Aura with, you know, if you play 2s with an H-Pal or a Disc Priest, or if you're playing 3s with a Demon Hunter or maybe a Condemn Warrior. It won't matter that much with a Condemn Warrior though, that's for certain. And raise a bomb. So I thought this was gonna be a trash talent after the changes for the 9.1, but they reverted the CD from 2 minute to back where it originally was. It's back to 1.5 minute, which is great. And now it scales with your verse and your mastery, so it's actually pretty good. It does a good amount of damage as well. It's really good for smoking out rogue mage teams. This is how I play versus rogue mage teams. Raise a bomb and Tome of the Ancient Shadow. Sometimes I just pick Strangulate over Necrotic Wounds versus RM. Okay, so don't be mad at me. You're probably thinking this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So my justification for here is that you can stop the mage for even at least 4 seconds, right? When he appears, it's so huge. And one reason is that you never actually get the value out of necrotic wounds, especially in 2s versus RMP, because their healings, right? Color-wise works after they drop to an almost near death situation, and rogues heal while they get their re-stealth, so they never actually heal while your necrotic wounds are up. So you would just want in that situation, you would just want to give yourself the most advantage and play something else, even Dark Simulacrum, really. But I love Strangulate. That's how I usually play. But yeah, this is my baseline. So versus RM teams, you just want to go in and then on the left side drop your A-bomb like a DJ, and in hopes that you get either the rogue or the mage out, and start off immediately. Try and start off with a CC, because the rogue is gonna kidney or cheap shot you for free. That can fall with a poly, and then, you know, maybe combustion and all those disasters you could have prevented, you know. So yeah, your best bet versus RMP and stealth classes is usually just make the first move, engage them, try to smoke them out. And a bomb is actually the best thing you have in your toolkit to help you. So like, legit, I think in my opinion you have a better chance against RM and all these cheesy classes as an Unholy more than an Arms Warrior, just because of how strong our talents are. Like, just because of even the value of raise a bomb. I just freaking love it, dude. So let's keep moving. Where we at? We at okay, Spell Warden. So Spell Warden has seen a lot of play from me. I actually loved it. That is actually something different. That's unexpected, because at the start of the patch I disliked it. I just feel like it was a waste of a talent slot, but now I've grown to appreciate it. So you would usually play this talent versus classes that have some kind of dot or rot pressure. I guess Shadow Priests can be added to the mix even though they're really bursty, and LE Shammies can be in the mix too. I mean, yeah, every class is bursty, right? But some are just, you know, rot oriented, so they still fit the criteria. And Affliction Warlocks too. So usually, yeah, versus some wizards, you just are better off without Dome, but rather Spell Warden. And try to find your situation. And those three I mentioned are usually the ones when I play, by the way. Okay, so that's Echo. I love That's Echo too. It's actually pretty strong, although sometimes it kind of feels clunky, where maybe it's because of my bad, but like there are situations where I would press it twice like this, and in one global 2 charges are just over, you know. Like, let's see there, that's advanced too, 2 charges already over. Maybe it's a buff, I don't know, but annoying nonetheless. But well, yeah, it definitely is strong versus Resto Druids. I think, yeah, Resto Druids is where it's the most strong, because of you want on-demand grip swaps. Like, you want a shit ton of those, right? Especially in 3s. If I'm playing with a Windwalker mostly, so especially with a Windwalker, if he tells me, hey man, I got my sweep bag, then there'll usually always be 1 charge of a dead grip that's left, so this is where our setup goes. Yeah, it's just so good, even in RBGs, even in arenas with versus high mobility classes. Sometimes I would play this even rogue mage or rogue healer, because of those annoying shadow steps. So let's see, Strangulate, just went over it. Oh, I didn't actually. So you play, so Strangulate isn't that relevant as much as I thought it was gonna be. Like, I thought it was gonna be huge. I guess for a reduction from 5 seconds to 4 seconds kind of was the factor, but like, so I was wrong when I said it's gonna be mandatory. Like, it's something like Necrotic Wounds where you would wanna always put it on your bar, but I was wrong, because it's actually not the case. You're better off with some more DPS talents. I barely play it actually. I would play it versus Resto Shamans usually, because of their totems. It's so predictable when they're gonna link, and you know, you can silence them so they can do a link. It's actually huge, because on your first go you usually will get an ascendance from them, right? They're gonna trade off your first go with an ascendance, so your next go can be fueled with Strangulate again, where he won't be able to drop his totem when he needs to, and that's where you can land a juicy kill. So yeah, I love Strangulate. I love Mima Strangulate, but I play it like 20% of the time, which is only versus Resto Shamans. And you can also play it versus Shadow Priests, actually. It's really huge. They can fade through it, so like if you're training, you know, it's a 3 situation and you gotta train the Shadow Priest, and you're with the Mongo melee, so you just dish out your damage, You start off with your initials, your stuns, and then do some big damage. And when you expect him to pop his defensive CDs, boom, strangulate, and he won't be able to fade. And that's where you land that big juicy kill. So that's strangulate for you. And what we got left? Oh yeah, so that's pretty much for it. Of it, I guess. Oh well. Dome of the Ancient Shadow. So this, you would play this only versus classes with a high magic burst damage. Like if it isn't the high magic burst damage, there's no point in taking this. Say, oh my god, server is gonna go down. Let's say versus red paladins versus fire mages versus, you know, I guess arcane or frost mages during their burst because it's insane, and versus balance druids. That's where you will most likely play this one. It's actually so huge. And by the way, the nerf, you know, the nerf to AMZ that was brought in 9.2, it's actually not that relevant. Like, you are not gonna die because it has a threshold of magic absorption. So yeah, it's pretty good. And I think that's pretty much for the PvP talent section. And we are gonna set our sights to, okay, I just want to put this out of the way. When it comes to race, I think the only ones that matters is Cold Tyrants or Dwarf 2, Dark Iron Dwarfs for allies, or even normal dwarfs and human, considering those are the top 4 dogs. Why the 2 dwarfs and Cold Tyrant, you might ask? It's because of the meta and how shackles work. Shackles are just so strong right now. They're basically just win conditions if executed right. So you wanna, for example, let's say there's a shackle coming on you, then you can just ray shield it away with a dwarf, or you can just punch the guy with the Cold Tyrant ray shield ability. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much what matters right now, honestly. Otherwise, you're just free to play any race that you want, really, and you won't fall short. You know, the basic fundamentals of reaching a high rating is always playing good and being aware and all that. So if you just want those slight advantage based on race, it's those 4 I mentioned. It's Dwarf 2, normal dwarfs, Cold Tyrants, and lastly humans. So for the horde side, it's obviously orcs. I guess blood elves, because sometimes it can be huge. They're dispel. You know, let's say you're gonna kill a target and he gets bobbed, and you can cleanse that bob. It's actually sometimes really huge. So I'm gonna say orc, blood elf, undead too, maybe, or yeah, Magar orc. Well, it's just safe to say that there is no definitive go-to for a race for Unholy DK, especially in the horde. I guess you'll get the most value out with the normal orcs. So yeah, that's just about the race section. So about gear, let's get into gear. So personally, I am a huge Haze fan, Haze Unholy DK fan, but you know, as we seen how the meta worked last season, we stacked Mastery a lot, and how Mastery works now, it's just so good. But I am having a fair balance between Haste and Mastery gear right now. I am probably gonna get Haste on every slot I can, because I just love a smooth Unholy DK with a shit ton of haste, because I can ditch out my shit easily, get my globals off easily, my bursts off, and you know, I just love the fast playstyle of Unholy DK. So when it comes to stats, Mastery is always will be our number one go-to because of how the value is huge. But personally, I love Haste as well. So I will, like I said before, I'm gonna get Haste on every slot I can, and then Mastery. So Verse is a no-brainer. Of course, you're gonna want every PvP gear with Verse. Is basically it. Not much to go on. So yeah, Mastery is your go-to if you want big damage. Haze is your go-to if you want a more smoother gameplay. Maybe a slight DPS decrease, but I don't know, man. I just love playing Haze and Holy DK. So when it comes to the Legendaries, I guess I'm getting to the Legendary section immediately here. Oh wait, I'm gonna go to trinkets first. So Shackle is really huge. I would recommend it, I guess 9 out of 10 times maybe, depending on your healer too, that is, or people you play with. You can maneuver around it flawlessly, you know, if you can coordinate enough. Like especially in twos, I play with a Resto Druid or sometimes a Disc or Holy Priest. It's actually really huge. We can time our mind games together or shackle together, you know, bait out one shackle with a dispel and then insert a full shackle right after that. Yeah, it's so strong that it's actually a win condition if executed right. But however, I will play Batch once I actually get to afford it with my conquest or from the vault, because it's just a flat increase in my dark transformation goes, and it's what I want, man. It's all I could ask for. Like, just enhance my dark transformation go and we good, buddy. So yeah, even Pet Kick, the multi-rank one, DK plays it. But well, you gotta figure out which one works out best for you, my man. There is no, like I said, there is nothing definitive. You have to check it out on your own. But like, I'm just telling you the situations where this works best, you know. Although I would recommend you don't play this versus double DPS that has a spammable or a shit ton of CC, say RM, mostly RM, really. Like, you don't want to get cheap shot immediately when you get to Cassis, or just follow it up with a poly, because it feels so bad. You would rather be off with playing what you call it, with the badge or the HP increase thingy. I forgot the name, the insignia, I guess. Yeah, you're better off playing those versus RM teams. So this is huge if you can coordinate well with your teammates, or the class is just so good to dish out Maledic with, for like a Resto Druid and all that, you know. So I think that's about the gear section, except for the legendaries. I'm gonna run through that quickly enough again. Master is your main stat, Haste is your secondary, Verse is always number one though. And let's get to the legendary section. I may not be able to finish it in time, but let's see how it goes. So legendaries, there is no contest for me. This is just so huge. Frenzied Monstrosity, the value of it is just so huge that I can't drop it. I don't think there's gonna be anything that's gonna top this one. Not at all. So the one that comes really close maybe is a Bomb's Frenzy. Like, so yeah, this is S tier, okay? Let me just put that out there. S tier, one you'll usually always play. And the second maybe is a Bomb's Frenzy, which is basically it increases your Abomination's Limb by 4 seconds, and then, you know, the target that you grip with your A-Bomb Limb takes 10% increase for damage for you. So you can make use of that duration by a whole lot. especially if you know how to play around a bomb limb and its grip, you know, because this 10% increased damage debuff can be refreshed. You know, the stack can be refreshed. So like say it's 12 seconds, right? So right before it's over, or even if it's over but while your A bomb limb is still going on, you can just pull them once more and then they will get the debuff. So you have like a 24-second window of damage as opposed to 12. What's the duration of dark? 18 seconds of dark transformation. So it's kind of dependent upon you, and it's strong with Windwalker monks because you have a whole shit ton of time to do a triple sweep and all that. And yeah, so Frenzied Monstrosity is what you'll usually be running with. I guess if you want defensive Legos, you can play with Death's Embrace versus Big Casters versus Affliction Lock Shaman and all that. Personally, I'm not a fan of it because of how much dampening affects it. I just don't like it. So pheromones here, I think you can play this if you play a Night Fae DK. It's gonna see a lot of play with Night Faes because you know the Covenant ability is literally a buff version of your Dead End Decay, and if you put this on top, 15% haste, it's really crazy with a chance to fear, and you can pair this up with a Death's Echo too, which is really huge. So oh my god, server is gonna go down. We'll continue this, boys, sooner or later. Probably later, like an hour. Oh my god, it's actually unfortunate. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Server is back up and we're back in business. So I was in the middle of talking about legendaries. I said this is your go-to legendary. Your other choices include Death's Embrace for defensive and A-Bomb's Frenzy for maybe some situations in trees or RBGs. And I was talking about pheromones. Well, pheromones here, it's good in RBGs too, and especially good if you're playing Night Fae because with this talent it's gonna be so huge. Which Death's Echo, it's gonna be huge. You can put out 2 Dead and Decays in the middle of a team fight with and then you can just stand, you know, go on them. If you're gonna tunnel them, just go straight to them and you can press slappy hands and dish out your damage while you gain a shit ton of haste, and if you're a Night Fae especially, a shit ton of strength. So you're just gonna melt the enemy team and be extremely disruptive because you're gonna randomly fear who knows who, right? So yeah, no discussion, this is a strong RBG talent for sure. I mean, legendary of course. And nothing really comes close there, really. There's okay, so the one interesting thing is you can play if you know, at a high skill level, for some reason you play a Venthyr Unholy DK, you can play with this Lego, and it's basically every runic power you spend during your Swarming Mist, it's gonna increase and the explosion damage of this legendary. So it's actually pretty huge, like a burst damage. Maybe, I don't know, it's hard for a newbie to pull it off because just even by thinking of it, I think it's gonna be hard to pull off, especially they have good mobility and all of that juki shit. So yeah, honorable mentions, I don't think there's anything come close here at this moment, really. Just get this one. Just play Frenzied Monstrosity and you'll be fine for the rest of the expansion period. I'll make an update But yeah, as of now, Frenzied Monstrosity is your best bet in all sorts of content. Okay, so we're gonna go to the section, the comps section. Perfect as it is, I don't know how to make a cleaner one. I'm just gonna use this. So the S tiers are always gonna be a Condemn Warrior. Yeah, you can still make it work with a Kyrian Warrior as well. So a good warrior is always your best buddy. And I will say shortly after Demon Hunter, Windwalker Monk, just because of how crazy their damage are, and you can set up your triple sweeps or double sweeps, and just insane pressure overall. So your third pick would be a decent Demon Hunter. They just have a good consistent damage as well as a good burst damage, with their Unbound Chaos, I guess. I forgot the name. Legendary. They have so much sustained damage that it's crazy. It lines perfectly well with Unholy, and you can just basically kill someone in your Dark Transformation goes if you can cross CC and play together well. So yeah, I guess these are your S tier teammates. Maybe like this in terms of, I don't know, beginner friendliness, or like this. And I say Red Paladin comes really close too. You have to play Strangulate though. It's really huge if you play with a Red Paladin. You get your CC talents and all. You can dish out a shit ton of damage within a small amount of time, and you're gonna silence the healer or the DPS if like he's a Shadow Priest or something, and your Red can just finish him off. So Red is the closest, and I think I'll put Red and Fury together. Fury is actually really strong with their new heal absorption and all. Their damage output was always good. It's just that their utility, mainly Die by the Sword, is not available, and you know how strong Die by the Sword is. So yeah, Fury is not that good, but they have a good damage. But they fall short in uptime and mobility. So there's that. And what else do we have? We have Affliction Warlock. I'll put it on B tier too, because you would expect Affliction Locks to be extremely viable with Unholy DKs because of how the two classes work, right? But the thing is, it's so extremely melee meta that their Affliction just gets run down unless like he's extremely good, like a Glad player. A Glad level of kiting is necessary for him to live, because let's face it, he's just getting run down by 2 melee DPSs, turbo and all that shit. Like all you can do is a grip, a chain, and an occasional stun. But if you use the stun for peels, then you're gonna miss out your stun on your ghost. So it feels really bad. I just don't love. Maybe I'll actually put them down to C tier right here. I'm sorry. And the hunters aren't viable at all in my opinion. I was playing with a hunter the other day and it was terrible. Oh yeah, wait, whoa. Where's Shadow? Oh, there it is. I will put Shadow Priest at A tier because they're just so strong. Even last patch, I guess Shadow Priest was what I pushed trees mainly with. Mind Games is so good with Unholy DK. I mean, with anything, but like in Unholy DK, you can just dish out lots of pet damage and all that on top. Mind Games, and then heal absorption is there as well. So you just got extreme pressure, and they have strong talents now. With those void thingies that you have to dodge. Yeah, that's insane versus melee. So Shadow Priests can sustain themselves really well, and and they have a good damage too. So they got a blanket silence as well, so you won't have to you won't have to play what you call it, your Strangulate, but rather you would want to play something like Unholy Aura for the spell damage increase. And then yeah, I love playing with Shadow Priests. Even if it's not a Venthyr, it's fine. Shadow Priests are just strong in general and works really well with Unholy DK. So, anything I gotta mention? Destro Warlock comes close to, but I just I don't know. I just don't feel like I just don't enjoy the games playing with Destruction Warlocks at all. Like if I play any class, I just don't enjoy it playing with Destro. It's so boring, dude. Like you have to rely on Dark Soul, they run the LOS, and you have to play around that. You know, it just gives me nightmares. Oh yeah, so where's the I will put Balance Root at A tier 2 because it actually works really well with DK. You got a Root Beam, and you know they're big damage during their goes, and you can just emphasize on it with their clones and your Slappy Hands goes. Maybe let your homie land a free full Convoke cast while you are disrupting the enemy team with your slows, your stuns, with your Slappy Hands. So yeah, it works really good with Balance Root too. But the thing is, with the most of the classes I mentioned here, is it requires the guy to be really good as well. I mean, yeah, in Shadowlands Arena, it requires everyone to be good, really, even healers to some extent. So I guess that's pretty much it. I'm interested in seeing Feral here. I haven't played it with the Feral yet, but I really wanted to try Ebola. Was it Ebola? I remember playing that comp in Cataclysm, but I don't remember clearly. So yeah, Feral Unholy is something I would want to see, and I will test it in the upcoming days, hopefully. Hey, as of now, there's your comp, guys. It's here if you want the best ones. It's Arms Warrior and Windwalker in terms of it's beginner friendly and it's high end friendly too. I guess I can put Demon Hunter here and it won't be wrong. So yeah, it's unfortunate that Red Paladin and Fury Warrior are below Shadow Priest and Balance Root, but it is what it is. So maybe I want to see LE2, maybe it can work. I don't know. But anyway, that's pretty much what you need. Everything you need. Especially S and A tier, I guess you'll just pick anyone from here. You can put tier, and yeah, Red Paladin can be A tier too, honestly. So yeah, it's up to you. There's that. Okay, let's move on to the rotations now. The rotation section. How do you play your class? So I've always wanted to say this because an idol said it. I've looked up to this guy for a long time, and he said, I'm just gonna say what he said, and that is,
come the fuck up. There is no priority. There is no rotation system in this game. There are not. Whoever is actually saying that this is a perfect rotation is lying, because DKs don't have a rotation. What we do have is a priority system.
there's no such thing as a rotation, just a priority. So what is a priority? Well, you start off with your dot, maintain your dot. Your dot should always be up there. You have to at least have 4 festering wounds before you can start pressing anything, before you can start popping those pimples. And when you do have 4 stacks, you can empower pet for the 10% damage. and you're gonna start dishing out your necrotic wounds by popping the pimples. So why is this guy hitting me back? Oh shit! Okay, we're gonna start that section again. I'm sorry. Stacks, and you pop your dark transformation, which is your goal. You're gonna follow up with an A-bomb limb, and you're gonna follow up with apocalypse. So you got 4 stacks. You're gonna dish out unholy assault, and then 2 more scourge strikes, and you're gonna have 6 stacks by then. So now when you have 6 stacks, don't press scourge strike immediately after. Just maintain the chains of ice and who you want. Chains of ice. Oh, I should have said in this part that you should start off with a dot and a chains immediately, and then dish out your festering strikes. So now watch for the necrotic wound stacks after you're watching your chains of ice. And if the stacks are close to falling down, then don't press anything yet. Just put up the fester stacks and wait a bit, and just wait for the necrotic wound to fall off and then start over. Because that's how you're gonna get the best value. You just can't press randomly, Scar Strike randomly like you would do before. I actually like that because it kind of feels like, you know, those I forgot the Ezra talent that gives you a strength multiplier every Scar Strike. Yeah, it feels like that kind of. I love this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Always line your dark transformation, apocalypse, stun together, and it's basically gonna be every minute. So that's how you do the most damage. Okay, this has gone on long enough, longer than I expected, so now I will hit you with rapid fire tips. So grab your notes, pay attention, and listen, alright? Here we go. Use your pet stuns only for shackles, especially in 2s. Because there's nothing you have in your toolkit that will help you stop shackle for your team. Always line your CC, strangulate, asphyxiate with your big burst, dark transformation and apocalypse and all that for maximum damage. Maintain your chains on the enemy target, especially versus melee creeps. It is an absolute priority because your class has the worst peels possible, but gotta work with what you have. Don't pop festering wounds if your necrotics are about to fall off. You're better off starting a fresh stack. Mindfully trade your defensives like AMZ and AMS and try your best not to overlap. Don't randomly CC anyone if you don't have anything to follow up with. Track your partner's CDs to see how you can play around with him. Always trinket insta AMZ for your partners versus RMP. Make macros and practice your kicks and pet kicks for maximum pressure. Don't hesitate to swap if they pop wall, especially in your go. Maximize your DPS. Just swap the target, man. Use your gap closers meaningfully. Don't just press death grip whenever you feel like it, but rather after they press a mobility spell or something else. React fast if you see a burst coming up. If you see a Seraphim, a badge, a wings, you don't stop and ponder around and think if you're gonna press something. Don't think, Mark. Act. Press those defensive CDs. And lastly, raise hell. Kick some ass. Make FOTM rerollers cry. Make them cry in the forums and make them ask why the game isn't giving them rating, even though they're playing the strongest class available. Use and make strong macros. Now I have a whole video dedicated to macros, so check that out. You'll find quality of life macros that'll help maximize your DPS for your Unholy DK. I'll be putting a link in the description for it here. So yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. That's my ultimate Unholy DK PvP guide. And if you have any questions or if there's any points I wasn't articulate enough, you can ask me in the comments and I will be sure to answer. So I hope this helps a lot, and man, this has been a long time coming. I've promised this for well over a year now, honestly, and I'm actually glad that I got to put it out. I hope more people play Unholy DK because of this video. You know, even if at least one person plays it, then it's ultimately I would have accomplished my goal, right? So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna switch the scene here and okay. I hope you enjoyed that one. If you do, leave a like and be sure to subscribe, please. I'm trying to grow this year, so I'm gonna be on the grind throughout the whole year. So I would really appreciate a subscribe, and if you want to hang out or just want to watch me play live, then you can follow me on my stream, which is right here in the corner. I will put the link in the description as well. So yeah, you can find me there. It's yeah, feel free to follow. So anyway, there it is, my Unholy DK PvP guide, and as always, this is your boy Killian Jenkins. Unholy DK PvP forever, and I will be seeing you soon in the next one. Peace out.